Hello, y'all. This is going to be Dr. Stone, chapter 156, Two Scientists. And for this one, we even get this nice little color spread with Dr. Zeno on the top, giving a quite a maniacal pose, and with Senku. And I like the use of color in this with dark and light, Senku obviously being the light to Dr. Zeno's darkness anyway. And what's we now found out some interesting development about these two's characters because they're actually intertwined because Senku said in the last chapter that Dr. Zeno used to be his mentor. So let's find out. And we even get a flashback of Senku and Taiju when they were younger. So how old is he? He's 10 years old. He's making something, and it goes boom. Got to say, this explosion looks pretty nice as well. This explosion of the chapter. I mean, the panel, the explosion panel. It looks quite realistic in a sense, and I really like the depth that he can draw with. It looks amazing. All right, so we see Senku kind of doing more science stuff as he grows up, and obviously Taiju being his hype man. That's literally what Taiju is, the hype man. He's just saying what's good. Are you sending messages out? Okay, so so Senku sends spam mail to everyone. Okay, I received some emails from school kids. This one asks if space is black, why is the sky blue? Isn't that adorable? Well, be sure to answer the little tyke. This one comes from a boy in Japan. His name's Senku, and I bet he's worked really hard to write this in English. Oh, let's see. Okay, so I'm guessing that's just a random email they get from some random kid, and this is Senku's email. With my rocket research, I've started by doing some mad. Okay, so this is obviously some quite high tech space stuff. So we can see from the spaces, the face of these random NASA staff, that they're bamboozled and shocked that this kid sent such like a detailed analysis of everything. So I installed the VPN on the research lab server at the university where my dad works as a professor, so I wouldn't get caught, and uses some supercomputer on campus to run the calculations for the structure. What is this boy doing is borders on a criminal act. He can't possibly kid. This has to be a prank, right? Either way, we shouldn't get too involved. Just ignore it. Oh, and we get this full page image of Dr. Zeno, and he looks kind of he looks a bit cuter than he does right now. He looks a bit more purer, but he still has this sense of evil. I'm guessing that comes from his bags of eyes and his head. We talk about his head though. His I don't know why this Doctor Zeno character, his head looks massive, and I do like the way his hair flows, and I gotta say, the way his hair is drawn looks quite realistic. I definitely enjoyed that, but his hairline, I think that's what's throwing me off. Yeah, it looks a bit off, but yeah, no. Okay, let's stop talking about Doctor Zeno's appearance and let's carry on. All right, nice, Senku. He actually got a reply from a pro at NASA. Pipe down. All right, so it looks like Dr. Zeno is the one doing the replying. I reviewed your various formulas. To keep it short, you require a niobium alloy nozzle. Dr. Senku, the source of your troubles is likely data error. I assume your measuring equipment is cheap. You should get your hands on a resistance thermometer with a rubidium platinum alloy heat sensor. Dr. X, NASA. Well, that's pretty nice, Science is elegant. Oh, wow. So you just got to buy the thermometer in the picture. They think they sell it at the shop 100 yen. Let's see how much it is. So we can see that the thermometer is really expensive and you'll never be able to afford it. Okay. And it looks like, okay, so Senku's with his dad. I never thought you'd be the one seeking me out, feeling nostalgic for dear old dad. Now just hurry up and hand it over, the magic card. The magic card. He's talking about the credit card. As all astronauts training in US get one to cover the cost of any science stuff they want to buy. Oh, so it's not even it's a credit card. How do you know about that? I mean, you're not wrong, but even a Google search wouldn't bring up anything. Wait, you're going back home immediately. It's like when a participant in the what is that, Transium Ultra quiz shows flunked the in-flight stage. Get the time with the pops. Your references are seriously outdated. Well, when you are gonna visit again? Once I maxed out the card. Do you have any love for your old man? That's typical Senku, very logistic and doesn't really care about emotions and stuff. But yeah, Senku should have spent a bit more time with his father, especially for what his father did for him, with the whole village and stuff and farming for gold. It would have been nice if he spent a bit of time with his dad, but that's obviously we're talking about hindsight. So with that credit card, Senku gets all this high tech stuff now. I don't know what these things are, but these look pricey. Each one is a must have, and I'll take whatever I can at this point. This mountain of equipment, and online lessons from Dr. X can get me really excited. I'll research, test, experiment, and conduct my launch off the shoulders of the 2 million years of humanity. But Senku, your big goal is to make a rocket. Yeah, shouldn't he just be teaching you useful science to make that happen? Hmm. If we knew what parts of science were useful, everything would be a piece of cake. Like how to get rich quick by someone betting on a winning horse at the races. But I still lack all sorts of knowledge. Basically, science is power. Oh wow, that's quite a nice phrase. For an instance, I trust I don't have to explain how your little rocket and a ballistic missiles are fundamentally the same, right? With science in the hand, the cleverest among us could rule over the ignorant masses. It's truly an elegant power, Dr. Senku. Nah, I ain't into that stuff. I'm just a dummy who wants to know every last secret about the world and the cosmos. All of it, everything, 10 billion percent. So even back then, we can definitely see that Doctor Zeno has always had that bit of evilness in him. He wanted to rule over the world. And the ideologies between these two scientists are very different in what their core beliefs are. With Senku, obviously, just wants to know for the sake of knowing. He seeks knowledge. He yearns for it. Well, if you're going to send me back in time to the Stone Age, I would recreate weapons of science from scratch. Uh, well, what if you were sent back to the Stone Age? I would recreate weapons from science from scratch and rule as a dictator. So, yeah, Dr. Zeno actually stick true to this word because this is exactly what he's trying to do right now. Because we are pretty much in that what if scenario that they explained anyway. That'd be your move, turning into a despot. What if there are other scientists there? Whatever crazy situation humanity finds itself, scientists are 10 billion percent sure to pop up. There will always be greedy people enough to want to know every last detail about how the world works, just like my son. So wait, does that mean Dr. Zeno and Senku's dad they were in close proximity with each other? That would make sense since they were both NASA pilots, but damn, so they kind of know each other in a sense. That's pretty crazy. In that case, I would confront the others, and in that primitive stone world, we would learn whole science. Or we would learn whose science is more superior. So I really like this little flashback. It's kind of setting up and cementing this rivalry between Senku and Dr. Zeno in whose science is going to be better. It's kind of setting the stage a bit more. And I mean, the stage was already set, but it's kind of what do you call it, cementing it, that's the word, laying down even more foundations for this history, more build up. So this is getting quite interesting. And now we can see in the flashback, I gotta say this flashback feels kind of long, but nevertheless, in the flashback we can see that Senku and everyone has grown up a little bit from the last time. He looks more like a teen and more like the current Senku that we see instead of the little kid Senku. All right, my Senku's on our way. Only because he maxed out that credit card, not for the wholesome reason or anything. I'm gonna meet him out front. Senku. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. So this is quite interesting. We see Senku and Dr. Zeno have actually met in real life, and they weren't just pen pals. So interesting. And I really like this little. I gotta say this panel, this full body panel, kind of gives me the chills. Where we just see Senku and Dr. Zeno both looking and admiring this rocket. It looks like a rocket. I don't know what it is actually. This contraption that looks like a rocket, and the admiration is there. And there is even more what you call, there's even more what's the word, representation, with the whole black cape, white cape, good and evil, blah blah blah. That's even been cemented in this, but I gotta say it looks really cool. Hi Senku, what's up? Nothing. Oh, they did meet, but they didn't really seem to make any conversation, and we just see Senku kind of smile. But I gotta say, this chapter was quite wholesome, and I gotta say, the way it ends was really nice. And I'm guessing there's a bit more to this flashback, but I definitely enjoyed this flashback a little bit. Get to know and flesh out Dr. Zeno's character a bit more. I mean, we didn't learn too much about him, but we're learning about more about how Senku grew up. And this is more of a Senku focused chapter, so I definitely enjoyed it a lot more. But we did get a little bit of knowledge about who Dr. Zeno is as a person. I mean, we already knew what his plans were and what his motives are, but this was a really nice chapter. And it's always nice to see Senku's dad, because we truly appreciate what he's done for Senku. Well, I appreciate it anyway. But that was it for me, and I'll see you guys next time.